The unemployment numbers have just came out and they say jobs are great, but the real unemployment numbers tell a different story. My name is Samuel Ronan, and I hope to be your president one day. And that might have been a slightly longer hook than you're used to, but it makes a difference knowing what the unemployment numbers are versus real unemployment. You see, unemployment numbers is how many jobs were created, and therefore this means how many people are actually employed out of the overall workforce. But the real unemployment numbers take into account working poverty. People who are working, but who are not able to make at least $22,000. And that's an extremely low bar to begin with, considering the average rent in America is $1,000 a month, not including, bills, utilities, and food, right? So really, the poverty rate should be closer to $35,000, $40,000, or even $50,000 of income just to live, just to literally keep a roof over your head and food in your belly. We're talking significantly more than $22,000 take home. But that's where that number comes into play. That is what the true unemployment rate is. And in America, that is nearly 1/4 of all Americans fall under this designation. And it gets worse when you start looking at the demographics, right? Black Americans fall under 29%. Hispanic Americans, 27%. Women, 30%. And when you start looking at the demographics and breaking them down further, it just becomes more and more apparent that the economy is not doing anybody any favors other than the rich and the powerful. The cost of living continues to skyrocket. The cost of food continues to skyrocket. Everything continues to skyrocket. A 6-inch sub is now $6 when it used to be a $5 footlong. Yeah, I'm that old that I remember the $5 footlong. And now it's a $6 half foot long. How are we able to afford to eat and live and survive in this country when nearly a third of Americans can't even afford to live? Even when you take extremely conservative numbers like 22,000 a year and make that the cutoff, it's still a quarter of the country. A quarter of the country is essentially living in poverty. How is that a strong economy? How is that a sustainable economy? And what can we do about it? Well, yeah, we can vote. Sure, we can write our Congress people. Yeah, we can absolutely do that. But you know what is actually really, really effective? Boycotts. Starbucks and McDonald's have both lost billions of dollars in just 7-8 months since the genocide against Palestinians began. Because people are saying, we will not go there and we will not support you. Imagine if we collectively banded together as a nation and boycotted more goods, more companies. Companies that did not pay their employees a living wage and give them good benefits. Imagine if we boycotted every single company that did not meet a minimum standard. We could bring this country to their knees. We could bring industry to its knees. And in fact, we've done this already during the COVID government shutdown. In 2020, this country lost 34% of its GDP in 2 months. And companies lost trillions of dollars of revenue because we weren't working. Which means we have always had the power, we have always had the authority, so we should not have to suffer poverty because of their greed and incompetence. And that is a message that you and me and all of us need to internalize and hold near and dear to our heart. If we are to survive as a country, we need to start talking up and talking out against this kind of corruption, this blatant greed. The more of us working together, the more powerful we become. And we can start taking back our own agency and our own destiny and our own futures. If we have the courage to work together, trust one another, and fight for a common cause.